Today is Friday. Today is 5:01 in the afternoon. The deadline has passed to submit an application to run for City Council and School Board of Trustees. Traditionally, there is one person here in Mansfield who waits until the last day at the very last minute to file for candidacy. He loves to keep things exciting. But instead of being at City Hall right now, let's find out why he's actually sitting right here in the studio. Casey Lewis, welcome back to About Mansfield.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for inviting me out.
It's 5:01. You usually wait until 10 minutes before the end of the deadline. Why are you here and not at City Hall?
That's a great question. So that just kind of became a thing. I never actually ever intended on running for City Council. Even the first time back in 2018, was encouraging other people to run. There were things that I thought that the city should be working on that they weren't. Thought it was time for new perspectives, different voices. And we got to about 4 o'clock on Friday of filing day back in 2018, and nobody else had stepped up. And so I went and filed.
You looked at who's running and you said, oh, hell no.
Nah, that is not the case at all, sir. I just thought it was time for a new voice and new perspective.
Sure.
And nobody else had stepped up. And I went down to City Hall at 4 o'clock on that Friday and filed back in 2018 and then accidentally won an election, and I've been here 6 years.
2018, so then 2021, did you again wait until the last?
I don't remember if it was the very last minute, but I was not there on the initial 8 a.m. of filing period that most candidates are.
So here we are in 2024. It's 5:01 on a Friday. The deadline has passed, and I don't see your name on the ballot.
It is not on the ballot.
Tell me what's going on.
You know, like I said, I never intended on running for City Council. Accidentally won an election. I think we've done some really great things, but ultimately, it's time. Everybody gets a season and an opportunity to do the things that they're called to do, and I've been blessed for the last 6 years to do that. My son was in 4th grade. My daughter was in kindergarten when I was initially elected. I have spent 35% of my adult life and over 60 to 80% of my kids' lives as a city council member.
I thought you were going to say 60 to 80 hours a week.
That's probably close some weeks too. But my kids have never not known me as a city councilman. And so my son will be, if I were to have run this next term and won, my son would graduate high school during that time period, go off to college. My daughter would also be. And so I think it's just, we've done a lot of good work over the last 6 years in the city that I'm really proud of. We're on a good path and a good trajectory. I don't think that me sitting in that seat and overstaying my welcome maybe does anything to further that or to change that. There's a great team in place, good city management, good city leaders, and then a great council that's currently in place. So it'd be arrogant of me to think that another 3 years or another 6 years or an indefinite term of being on council is going to make any substantial difference other than what we've already done. And in the meantime, I've got family and responsibilities that I need to take care of at home.
You undoubtedly are the lone city councilman who has the most transparency when it comes to putting things out in social media. And who's going to carry that torch?
I think our city council as a whole is abundantly transparent, based on the heat that we sometimes get as council members. If we were not transparent, you wouldn't know about those things. We tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly and everything that's out there. I've also learned over the last 6 years why some people, especially elected officials, avoid social media and the heat and everything that comes from that. But I think the city's on a good path. Having somebody from council or anybody to communicate those things is not necessarily the utmost important thing. People are still informed and know what's going on around the city.
Would you agree that as a city council person, you hold a position, it's a thankless position?
No, I get a lot of thanks.
Okay.
For what you do. But definitely serving 6 years, or some people have served even longer than this. I said it at a council meeting recently, if you serve long enough, you're going to have the opportunity to make everybody in the city mad because some decision you're going to make is going to impact them.
Sure.
And so I've had the opportunity to serve for 6 years. I've probably had some decisions that have made people mad. in the process, but I think collectively, if you look at where we are as a city today versus where we were in 2018 and where we're going toward 2040 and 2050, that we are on a good path and in a good place today that I'm really proud of.
You've been on the council for 6 years. Looking back over the 6 years, what would you say is your single or maybe 2 or 3 of your favorite accomplishments over the past 6 years?
Yeah, it would be very difficult to pick just one.
And I know this is a team effort. This is not, well, Casey Lewis brought HEB single-handedly but
I did not. I think that's probably the first thing I'd say is that there's nothing individually that I was able to accomplish.
Right.
I've been blessed to serve with some very great council members, both the ones when I was elected in 2018, and then we went through COVID, and then all of the different election pieces, and so I've gotten to serve alongside some very great council members, but also dozens of great board and commission members that have been here. And our city staff is hands down the best city staff probably in the country. And that's not hyperbole. I go visit other cities. I see where the level of education and commitment to their jobs and dedication that they have. They know what they're doing. They know how to do it really well and really effectively and efficiently. I'm really proud of all of them. So picking one or two highlights or things that have been built is really difficult. But I'm obviously in 2018, I ran on a platform that we needed some form of property tax relief, that as property values continue to rise, that it's the responsibility of local elected officials to moderate the tax rate and tax policy against those rising home values. In Mansfield, as of today, our tax policy has changed for Mansfield homeowners it has been reduced by 22% for a Mansfield homeowner since 2018.
Part of that's the homestead.
14% in the homestead and another 8% in rate reductions, with more coming in the future. Council's committed to doing that. That did not exist prior to me coming onto the city council in 2018. The city had held a 71-cent tax rate for at least the previous 20 years with no end in sight to that, even against the rising values. So I'm proud that we were able to get that started. There's more work to do there, obviously. I trust that the current council and future councils will continue that same trend. So that's probably a big one. Quality of life projects. We've built about a dozen new parks in the last 6 years. Catherine Rose, one of our most loved parks, is currently in design to undergo a massive renovation.
Sure.
We held our first bond election in the city in almost 30 years. And while it didn't go necessarily the way I want to, we did give voters a choice to weigh in. That election happened at the worst possible time, right as property notices had been delivered, and so it didn't go the way I hoped. 4 out of 5 of the propositions did not pass. The one that did pass is our linear trail system, which is underway to be finished. And then we have radically reorganized it. The things that I'm probably would be most proud of, it's hard to point to a specific thing. It's a bunch of little things within the organization itself. So changing of a lot of ordinances that were outdated, changing some things that really excluded people rather than included people, policies and procedures that were just outdated or didn't work. And then a full change of the city leadership team over the last 3 or 4 years. Literally from city manager all the way through all the director levels. Right. Complete structural changes that are sustainable for the future, that the city can actually afford to pay their personnel and take good care of them. We're building the new police headquarters station. We built a new fire station. The water treatment plant's expanding. We're finally getting a new animal control. All of these things that had just kind of been pent up demand for decades are finally getting to get started now.
Well, and now you've got Mansfield growing even more, and you were also a part of. City Council was a part of. All right, we're getting a new city hall. We're getting an entertainment district. We're getting a new stadium. We're getting redevelopment downtown. When, let's say 10 years from now, will you look back on that going, yeah, I was a part of that.
It's interesting because I'm leaving at a time where all of these exciting things are happening, and my name will never be on any one of these buildings.
Yeah.
We got to put the things in place, but I'm reminded as a kid growing up, my dad was from Ohio, Mansfield, Ohio, of all places, and we would go for car rides up there because it wasn't just flat West Texas dirt where I grew up, but we would go up to Ohio, and my granddad always liked to just go for a ride in the car. So the three of us would hop in his El Camino and drive the back roads in Mansfield, Ohio. And what I remember from those days was always we'd go see Grandma's house. We'd go see where Dad grew up. We'd go see the corner store, or we'd just drive and tell stories of what it was like growing up there. Yeah. And so what I can see is that I hope that we have put things in place to where my kids and my grandkids will want to live in Mansfield and raise their families here, and go to our schools and go to our parks and go to the plays and enjoy the canals when they're built, and maybe go to a soccer game. And we'll, as a family, we'll know, hey, Dad had a small role to help cast a vision for the future of Mansfield. And so we'll get to talk about those things, but I don't necessarily know, or do I really care if somebody remembers that I had a part in that 10 or 15 years from now. You're
not running for reelection. What is in the future for Casey Lewis?
Steve, I have served this community in a variety of roles since 2004, when it was primarily farms and fields. I joined and helped launch the Church on Rush Creek. At the time, it was the East Broad campus meeting in Danny Jones Middle School. Now it's known as, the Miralagos campus of Rush Creek, out across from Lake Ridge High School. So that was my introduction into Mansfield, Texas, back in 2004. So we've been serving this community for a long time. We will continue to serve this community. This may or may not be my only elected role ever, but for this season right now, I'm going to focus on my family and continue serving in the community any way I can.
Can I dig deeper on this may or may not be my last elected role?
I have no current future visions for an elected capacity, but I think my season on city council was great. I have no ambitions today for a higher office, but I'm not going to rule out. I'm not even. I'm 37 still. I'll be 38 here in a couple months. So there's a lot of life left. That if a door opens and God says that this is where your path should go, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I've been blessed and enjoy the 6 years to get to serve alongside my colleagues and the city staff that we have here, getting to come hang out with you in the studio to share updates, and just being a voice and a representative for the people of Mansfield. Very humbled for the opportunity to do so.
Casey Lewis, thank you for your 6 years of service on the city council. You still have a couple of months, right?
I think my last full meeting will be April 22nd, and then the election is May 5th. And then I'll hand over the reins to whoever takes my seat on May 15th.
Thanks again for your service, and thanks for being on About Mansfield.
Thanks, Steve.